Hi there, welcome to Kneppy Invest and welcome to April 10, 2025. One of the best days on the ASX, maybe ever. I don't know, haven't had a historical look at how good our days can be during bear markets. I did have a look at the NASDAQ and it was an historical day there, one of the best days ever. I think it was the second best day they've had in the last 25 years. And it's on the back of Trump pausing tariffs. So he has caved in when it comes to most countries except one, China. And it looks like there might be a trading war between those two. And who's going to give in first? And that's the big question. Both acting fairly stubborn right now. Both acting like bullies. They always act like bullies. And sometimes when you have two bullies fighting each other, the rest of the people just stand back and let them go for it. Because in the end, they might hurt each other so much that you win out. And that's what the rest of the world is hoping, that China and USA hurt each other significantly and the rest of the world is spared. I think that is a possibility. I think that is a real possibility. So it seems like maybe Trump caved in because of what was happening on the bond market. So that is what's it called? Scatterbug, whatever you want to call it. Scatterbrain, I don't know what you call it. Scatterbug, what is that saying? I forget. Anyway, so I'll have a look at one tweet. I don't understand this at all, what's been happening with the bond market. I'm not an expert in bonds, but I did see this mentioned yesterday before the market rallied a fair bit. I think I even mentioned it in the ASX Daily Rundown video. So I'll show you one tweet in particular. And then after that tweet, we'll have a quick look at the futures, American futures. Maybe they're going up or down, I don't know. And then we'll have a look at the ASX Today. I did try to find companies whose share price had dropped today. One company in my portfolio has dropped. So there's definitely companies out there who have dropped in share price, but this is not the day you want to release anything negative. In fact, this is a day you might want to release something positive. Maybe, I don't know. And then after we've gone through the ASX Today, we'll have a look at the top stocks of the day. I've chosen 5, a few trading updates in there, and also an Appendix 4C. However, they were not operating cash flow positive. A few companies I left out, but that's okay. And then I'll have a look at one of your comments. Maybe one, yeah, we'll have a look at one of your comments. And I think that would be something I'll do moving forward, just have a look at one of your comments. I just recorded a video, so I re-recorded the Magnificent 7 stocks, which one is the cheapest, via FinChat or through FinChat. So I decided to record that again just because things have changed a fair bit. Anyway, so let's have a look at this particular tweet from Spencer Hakimian. He's a founder of Tulu Capital Management, global macro market neutral risk optimization, aiming for positive real returns in all climates, not investment advice. Now, I've been hearing this chat about what was happening in the bond market. It was concerning what was happening. So Spencer just mentioned here, round of applause to the Japanese hedge fund that was 60 times levered on the 10-year US Treasuries that blew up last night to save the world from the Great Depression. We would not forget your sacrifice, but rather, I think he's being a little bit over dramatic, saying they have saved the world from the Great Depression. But yeah, I have been hearing that the whole reason Trump caved in was because of what was happening with the bond market. A lot of people saying, what's happening? Just like me. What is happening? I don't understand. In fact, what exactly did they do? It's not clear to a kid like me. Yep, I'm hearing it, brother. So this is something I might try to learn and understand what has happened. So yeah, the bond market was just doing weird things over the last few days. So maybe it was just one Japanese hedge fund. That's all it took. A few other interesting tweets as well. Have a look at these. So yeah, Republicans against Trump. Well, that's interesting in itself. Trump crashed the stock market, crashed the bond market, tanked the world economy, and told US would pay off the national debt with the trillions made from his tariffs. He even said on Monday he wouldn't do a deal with the EU based on zero tariffs. Now, all of a sudden, he caves like a real panican, even though nothing has actually changed. Well, maybe it was the bond market, yeah. Anyway, so that's one thing I do have a problem with. Their chatter was, their rhetoric was so much about how tariffs was going to help the United States, but now they've gone against it. So why the change? I think that's a legitimate thing. Yeah, they've already talked about that, I think. Oh, no. Someone from Fed said the S&P 500 up 9.52% today, the third biggest green day in history, only beaten by 2 days in 2008. If you think that's bullish, go check what happened next. So I sort of did that. in my live video this morning, but I was focused on the NASDAQ, and this sort of day does not really mean we're at the bottom. In fact, more than likely, we're going to see way more volatility moving forward. I wouldn't be surprised if this does decrease the volatility in the short term, because it's all about uncertainty. And I think we're a little bit more certain now, but who knows what's going to happen with the trade war between the United States and China. Now, if that is resolved, I think you could see a really good rally. But the other thing is, I still think the chances of recession in the United States are high. So that hasn't really gone away. I think it has decreased, but it hasn't gone away. And then there's another one. This is from Fox News. So someone on Fox News just mentioned Gasparino. Let me clear what happened. Who capitulated here and why? You know, I don't want to say this because I'm a patriot. I'm an American, but it is the White House who capitulated based on everything I hear and all my sources. The very fact that came from Fox News is interesting. So it's Charlie Gasparino, Fox Business Senior Correspondent. Now, in saying that, I do know that Rupert Murdoch is not. He does believe, and I know this from a source, he does believe, Rupert Murdoch and his camp does believe that Trump can be manipulated. That's why he likes it. But he doesn't like his policy, something like that. Anyway, again, it's all about manipulation. Anyway, so that's some interesting tweets. Here it is, Jim Bianco. So this was before the market rose significantly. Jim Bianco wrote, something has broken tonight in the bond market. We are seeing a disorderly liquidation. If I had to guess, the basis trade is in full unwind. Since Friday's close to now, 30-year yield is up 56 basis points in 3 trading days. The last time this yield rose this much in 3 days was January 1982, when the yield was 14%. This kind of historic move is caused by forced liquidation, not human managers making decisions about the outlook for rates at midnight. So it seems like maybe that Japanese hedge fund was a forced liquidation just based off this. So, yeah, I heard a lot of this stuff about bond market just being is really weird and something I don't really understand. Okay, so that's the tweets. That's all I really want to talk about. And let's move on to the ASX Today. Still got 52 minutes left of trading, so I've been speaking a little bit. Anyway, so I was trying to keep this to about 30 minutes. It's not going to happen again. I can really talk, can't I? No point looking at what's happened today. Everything's gone sideways. I was going to have a look at the American futures. So this is the updated pre-markets. And I could do this. I'm not sure if TradingView is up to date when it comes to futures. Anyway, the Dow Jones is down 0.42%, the futures, and NASDAQ down 1.25. See if that correlates to this. Oh, yeah, it's fairly close. Yeah, it's fairly close. Anyway, so that would hint that maybe we should be dropping a little bit, but we're not really dropping all that much. So we're not completely correlated with the American futures today, which is interesting. In fact, we've been just going sideways since about 11 o'clock, which is interesting in itself. I thought we'd be way more volatile today, and that's a little bit of a surprise. Could be concerned, which if we see a major sell-off in America overnight, we're going to see our market tank, I think. Okay, so yeah, no point looking at that. Every sector's up. Staples, the least. Have I made up a new word there? Staples, the least, because it is defensive. So for all those investors who have rotated into defensive, they're probably kicking themselves right now. And maybe today they're rotating back into the riskier stocks. And then if we see another pullback in the market, they'll rotate. I don't think you want to do that all that often. In these sort of situations, I like to definitely have a plan, but I don't like to rotate all that much. I have all my high quality companies. I don't want to sell out of them because when we do bounce, and we are going to bounce eventually. When I say bounce, I mean we're going to see another bull market, and that bull market will lead to new all-time highs. It could be tomorrow. That bull market could start tomorrow, next week, next month, 1 year from now. But eventually we will see all-time highs. That's an almost given. The market wants to go higher. It's absolute. The market wants to go higher. So these sort of bear markets are unusual because the market wants to go higher. Anyway, so defensive by far the worst performing. And of course, IT, the best performing, up 7.48%. Materials not far behind. And also energy's had a pretty good day as well. In fact, you can't say anyone's had a bad day. Relatively speaking, you might be able to say that. And ASX 20 up 4.28%. And is there one company down? By the way, ASX 20 in the last year is actually down 2%. There you go, down 2%. So the last year hasn't been good for the stock market, down 2%. Is there a company in the ASX 20 down? I reckon the best, I think, try not to say reckon, if I had to guess, Telstra, Woolworths, Coles would be the best chances for companies to be down. Let's have a look to see if any companies are down. No companies are down. So let's see which is the worst performing. Oh, Coles is the worst performing, but still up 0.97%. So not surprising. You're not going to see this sort of day before where everyone is doing well. Oh, by the way, Coles was down on open. The first couple of hours of trading, it was in the red. And I'd say that's the only company that was in the red. Yes, absolutely true. Okay, let's have a look at the best and worst performing companies today. The top gain or top losers is going to be interesting. Not the sort of day you want to be among the top losers. Top gainers, so many of these are just going to be bouncing because of what's happening in global markets. For instance, LNAS, which is the ultra-long NASDAQ, up 30.7%. Wish I was in that. Lavora Resources up 26%. That's on pretty good turnover. So there is a chance maybe they could have released something interesting. I've got to sign in. What is happening with Bravura? Let's have a look. 7%. Yeah, it's not surprising. LRV, did they release anything, or is this just... No, they haven't. Let's move on. That's a problem. I'm not sure if some of these companies have released something or not. Some of the turnover is fairly low as well. And there's nothing here that... no, Pantera. So down the bottom there, we have Pantera Lithium. I really wanted to include this company in the top 5 because of the name, Pantera. I do believe, because we have quite a few companies, particularly mining companies, that have heavy metal band names like Pantera, Metallica, Megadeth. I actually don't think Megadeth's on here, but definitely Pantera. I would not be shocked if Pantera is a homage. This company's name is a homage to the band Pantera. Anyway, share price up 21.43%. So why not have a brief? And the only reason I want to include this company in the top 5 was because of the name, nothing else. So Pantera got a favourable announcement from Arkansas, of all places, Arkansas. Arkansas legislation delivers major boost to US strategy. Arkansas. Well, I lived in Oklahoma for quite a few years, which is right next to Arkansas. And I've been through Arkansas once, and that's about it. I don't need to go there anymore. Anyway, so Arkansas legislation delivers major boost to US strategy. For some reason, there's lithium deposits in Arkansas. There you go. So let's have a look at the chart for Pantera. PFE. You notice I haven't even opened up the announcement. I don't need to. I don't want to. And the chart. Do I have to say anything about this chart? Do I have to say anything about that chart? I shouldn't have to say anything about Pantera's chart. Sorry, Pantera Lithium. Maybe you should change your name to Britney Spears Lithium because you're just not worthy. I'm sorry, Britney Spears, but or maybe Billy Ray Cyrus Lithium. Anyway, let's move on to top gainers by market cap. You're going to see a lot of tech companies and companies that have dropped a lot over the last week or so in here, like Sandfire Resources, Mineral Resources, Zip, Paladin, Uranium has Digico Infrastructure. Yeah, so a lot of these are just bouncing. Catapult, I'm glad I didn't sell over my trade with Catapult. What else? Orthocell's had a good day, up 19.12%. I'm happy about that. So what can you say? Black Cat Syndicate did release something. No, they didn't. That was Wildcat. Sorry, I get Black Cat and Wildcat mixed up. And by the way, Black Cat is BC8, and I'm pretty sure Wildcat is WC8. Yeah, you want to confuse me even more? Have a very similar ticker code. Wildcat and what's the other one called again? Black Cat. So maybe there's also companies who have names homages to cats for some reason. I don't know. Black Cat, Wildcat. Okay, so we didn't have to look at any of these. To be expected, we're going to see some bounces. What's more interesting is the top losers today. Well, not surprising. At the top of that is the B-Bus, strong bear, down 23.88%, or even the ultra-short NASDAQ down 23.61%. Yeah, no duh. That was a big risk having those companies, particularly because we were oversold and we were ripe for a bit of a bounce. Anyway, so you can see the worst performing companies, the turnover is really low. So someone who held Metal Bank just went, I've got to sell at a 21% loss, or maybe not loss, and I have to sell my $220 worth of shares in this company so I can buy $220 of Catapult or something. So you notice the turnover, most of these companies is fairly low. And that just means they're illiquidly traded mostly, and this could be just one person selling. Or maybe two. Definitely some of these, definitely one person selling. Like Button, $107. Come on, Button. Well, come on, whoever sold that. Let's have a look at Button. It could be a few really small trades, or it could be just one trade. Let's have a look. Cost of sales, one trade. Why? My big thing about this, why? Why would you do that? I don't understand. Some people. Anyway, so that's why some of these companies down. It's just, there's just no interest. Article was up a lot yesterday, down a lot today. No surprise there. And nothing really to talk about. In fact, there is no companies in my top 5 showing up anywhere. There you go. And the list of worst companies by market cap, this is where you don't want to belong. So, for instance, Tasme, a company I was trading and then I got out. Let's have a look at Tasme's chart. And you can see why I got out, hopefully. So, beautiful uptrend. And there wasn't really a trend killer event. Although 25th of February, share price did drop 8%. So maybe you could say that was. And we didn't see any bounce after that. So that was an obvious sell for me. And share price has been quite volatile since then. In fact, the last 2 days, share price has rallied a fair bit, sort of against the trend, up almost 20%. So I can sort of understand why the share price has sold off because of that rally. Why has there been a rally against the trend overall market? Did they do something? I don't remember. Oh, acquisition. Acquisition, I do remember that. Other than that, what can you say? There's nothing much here. Again, people in, nothing much at all. Oh, Reese Pharmaceuticals. Capital raising. I'm pretty sure that's down because of the capital raising. Yeah, I actually did see that. Yeah. Okay, so let's turn our attention to, actually, no, before we have a look at the top 5 stocks of the day, I'll just briefly mention a few companies that almost made it. Metro Performance Glass did release a trading update. I really did not want to have this in top 5. It's a small company, illiquidly traded. The only thing about the financial year 25 update is they do give a sense of what's happening in New Zealand and Australia. And just based off their commentary, still looking at fairly weak. So market conditions in New Zealand have remained challenging and volatile in the second half of financial year 25 and expected to continue in financial year 26. I'm pretty sure they talked about Australia somewhere. Yeah, Trading Australia by AGG has also been tough for the last 6 months. So things are still not looking good. They also talked about Victoria, how Victoria is struggling, which I have heard from quite a few people that Victoria is not the place to be. They're in a recession or something like that. Not sure why, but that's what I've heard. If you live in Victoria, I'd love to hear what are your thoughts on that. It's just a few things I've heard and read and stuff like that. Okay, another company that almost made it into the top 5 was Opthia. So this one did release, not trading, did release a corporate update. They're firing everyone. Well, maybe not everyone. They're firing 65% of their staff, and they still have $100 million. So the costs are going way down, which they should. But the question is, what's the future of Opthia? It's definitely not what they've been doing, but they do have this, what's it called, a DFA, and how much is there a future of this company? That's a big question. So a lot of uncertainty when it comes to Opthia. But the thing is, if you're a shareholder, there's nothing you can sue. You can't sell your shares. So let's move on to the next one. And SYA and Piedmont are merging, and they've got a name. So SYA and Piedmont? They're going to be called Elevra Lithium. Elevra Lithium. So a new lithium company on the ASX called Elevra Lithium, a merger of SYA and Piedmont. One of my favorite companies, just because of what they sell, is called Immuron. Should this be in the top 5? Up 10%? Oh, should it be? Should it be Kinatico? Oh no, it can't be Kinatico. I'm just seeing if I can displace one of my top 5 companies with. No, it can't be Laserbond. It can't be Netwealth. And I still want Aussie Broadband and Spectur. Sorry, Immuron. Oh, I'm so disappointed. This was going to be in the top 5, and I went, no. Anyway, they sell what's called Travelan, which is for traveler's diarrhea. That's the only reason I like this company, because they're selling something that fixes traveler's diarrhea. Now, I'll be honest with you, I am not and never have been afflicted with traveler's diarrhea. I have no idea it was a thing until I saw this company many years ago. They sell Immuron Travelan, highest sales in history. So it seems like maybe traveler's diarrhea is becoming more and more of an issue. So $5 million in the last fiscal year. So it's not a lot. And that's the thing, it's not a lot. So I just like these updates for Immuron because of Travelan. So that's it. And by the way, we'll have a look at the chart for Immuron. This company at periods does get a lot of hype, and that hype dies away really quickly. And you might have said, you can see it in last year. March 2024, share price of Immuron jumped up 89% in one day, went all the way up to 17 cents the next day, and has dropped all the way back down to 6.6 cents. And we have seen this company littered with these little peaks in share price, in even massive peaks in share price. So back in 2020, look at this, 2 days, we had 2 massive days, up 261% in June, and then in July, up 250%. Share price was as high as 95 cents. Now it's 6.6 cents. So this is the definition of a story stock. Even though they are selling something, I just need to see profitability. I need to see Travelan really blow up in sales and the company become profitable. And then I could take this company a little bit more seriously. But at this point in time, the chart looks pretty bad. So let's move on to the next. And then I was supposed to talk about Pantera, but I've already talked about that. Okay, so now we can go to the top 5 stocks of the day, starting off with the Appendix 4C company. Share price might be up a little bit. Yeah, up. Well, it's only up 1 pip, 0.1 cents, so it's not that significant. They release their quarterly cash flow, quarterly activities. I've mentioned in the past that when a company releases their quarterly a little bit earlier than usual, that could be a good sign it's going to be fairly good. I thought maybe that was the case for this one as well. But if you have a look at the last quarter, they released on the 22nd. So it is a little bit earlier, but they were not operating cash flow positive. It was a little bit disappointing. And not only that, the cash receipts were lower. In fact, the lowest this company has seen in a quarter for quite a few years. And I was like, why did they release this so early? You didn't have to. You could just release on the last day of the quarter and it can get lost with all the other Appendix 4Cs. Anyway, so operating cash flow negative by 83,000. So, and I should also mention this company has been on the precipice of being operating cash flow on a continuing basis, but they just never take that extra step of growing. Now the receipts are growing very slowly, but I need to see receipts growing and the company becoming operating cash flow and free cash flow positive on an ongoing basis. And they just can't take that extra step. Now, this company is cheap as chips, but I still am not interested. So market cap is $4 million. Now, if this company became profitable, like $1 million profit in 1 year, P ratio of 4, well, there you go. So if this company can turn things around, that's when it might become interesting. Now, I did do a little, what do you call this? A little spreadsheet, cash receipts history of Spectur, going back since I started following. I'm pretty sure they were a different name at that point, maybe. Anyway, I can see receipts have been growing slowly, and $2.2 million receipts in the last quarter was their worst quarter in terms of receipts since April 2 years ago. They did mention in the commentary there is a bit of seasonality. I don't see much seasonality here, I'll be honest with you. And if you just have a look at the last 5 quarters, receipts are going backwards. So that could be a concern. I want to see receipts get to like 3 million. That would be a good move. So not my favorite Appendix 4C, without a doubt, nowhere near. Anyway, so that's Spectur. And by the way, the chart, I'm not interested at all. And the share price is moving closer and closer to 1 cent. And once it goes below 1 cent, I have no interest. In fact, the share price today goes low as 1 cent, looks like. Yeah, so there's actually a little bit of selling today. So the market didn't like it. Yeah, it got to 1 cent. Imagine that, you sold it at 1 cent and then saw the share price rally. Was it 1 cent? Did that happen on open? No, not quite. It happened at about 12:36 p.m. And it was probably one trade. Yeah, someone sold all their shares at 12:36 p.m. They got 1 and 1.1 cent for it. Anyway, I have no interest in Spectur, share price, or the chart. Again, what can I say? There's no reason to even think about it. But it is a company that released Appendix 4C, and that's why it's made it into its way into the top 5. A company that is interesting, Kinatico, used to be called CV Check. Then they changed the name to Kinatico. And another company I've been following a long time. They don't do any more Appendix 4Cs because they have been operating cash flow positive on a continuing basis. But we haven't seen much traction in terms of the market's perception of this company. Now, the company did release a bit of a flash update. You could say they went, oh, today's going to be really good. We should get this flash update ready and just send it. Anyway, analyzed SaaS now 16 million. So this is a real company. I still think they do CV checks. I do have a about section here. Yeah, so leading provider of Know Your People solutions comprising pre-employment screening, verification services, and workforce compliance management. So a little bit more than CV checking, but they do mention CV checking in the third paragraph, or provides a wide range of pre-employment checks via its CV check solution. So they still have that part of the business. I think maybe the reason they changed the name is because they did acquire some other businesses and it was no more relevant. CV check, it was a very specific name for a company. And why did they change Kinatico? There is some reason behind that. It could be, I have no idea. Anyway, so I think this was good. Yeah, SaaS revenue, $4 million, up 60% on prior corresponding period. Q3 total revenue of 8.1 million, up 15%. SaaS revenue now is 50% of total revenue. I do like that. Particularly SaaS revenue could be considered ongoing. What's the other word for that? Ongoing starts with sometimes words just escape me. Recurring, that's the word. I was going to say it starts with R, recurring. Anyway, so it was a pretty good update from Kinatico. And even though I can't remember the chart, I have a feeling the chart for this one might be looking interesting, even if has been a bit of a pullback. There hasn't been a pullback. Yeah. So yeah, the share price has increased a fair bit since the middle of last year. It's almost doubled. So a good looking chart for Kinatico. Now, if you have a look at the weekly chart, maybe less interesting, the weekly chart, but even the weekly chart, if you just focus on the last 6 months or so, it's in an uptrend. But you can see the share price got as high as 76 cents back when they listed, 70 in 2015, not 75. Share price fell a lot and has been going sideways ever since. So possible, yeah, I don't know about this one. Let's have a quick look at the most recent results, financial results. Half-year report and accounts. I just noticed that was missing. There you go. I was going to see something went wrong. Community. I just want to see if anyone has KYP has asked about care. There we go. P. Mahajan Good 3 weeks ago. What's your thoughts on Kinatico? And Mr. Fantastic 11 months ago, talking about Kinatico. Anyway, so finally I'm talking about Kinatico. So let's have a look at the most recent financial results because this company could be interesting. A nice increase in revenue, 9% increase. The company is profitable, but a small profit. But if they do find a little bit of leverage in their business, that profit could grow significantly. It could double, triple, quadruple in 1 year. And if that did happen, this company would be looking more interesting, particularly if it does start to see their revenue increasing at a greater rate. So just based off the very raw numbers there, looking interesting, and based off cash flow, yeah, everything's looking nice. I'd probably like to see a little bit more traction in the business at this point, but everything's moving in the right direction. So interesting company, Kinatico, and the markup for this company is, I would say 30 to 40 million, just as a guess, 75.62 million. So that is a little bit higher than what I might like because I haven't just seen that traction just yet. By the way, when the share price was like 9 cents 6 or 7 months ago, definitely better value at that price. Anyway, Kinatico, what it's called. Coming in number 3, we have a company I've owned in the past, a company I was going to hold for the long term, then I started to get out, Laserbond. Share price up 13.4% on not the best of announcements, but they released it on the best day. I'm not sure if they planned it like this, but US expansion plans temporarily on hold, and they do mention uncertainty. And this is what can happen in uncertain times. Companies put expansion plans on hold. That is why uncertainty can maybe not destroy economies. That's why we can go into recessions when we're in uncertain times. We want to be certain. We want to know that things are okay out there. And I don't think what's happening today, the pause on tariffs, will clear up uncertainty in the longer term. Maybe in the short term, but definitely not in the longer term. Anyway, so they advise that they have temporarily placed a hold on the expansion because of global economic uncertainty. And I don't think, they haven't changed their guidance. So financial year 25 revenue and profit before tax guidance maintained. Not sure why they choose profit before tax. I never see a company guide cash flow. I'd love to see a company guide cash flow. You could say EBIT or maybe EBITDA is sort of like a cash flow proxy. Yeah, sure, but love it if a company came out and said, we expect our revenue to be such and such and our free cash flow to be such and such. I'd love that, but I can sort of understand why they don't do it. Anyway, let's have a little chart for Laserbond. And this chart is not going to look good. We have to have a look at the daily chart. And yes, not good. Really big volume coming through today. Might have a look at the volume for all other companies, and maybe this was a really high volume day. Anyway, so not the best looking chart. And I did get out. I still remember when I got out. I got out on the release of their results in February 2024. Share price on that day, not really a trend killer because the trend wasn't up at that point, but this was sort of like a trend killer event. Share price down 13.8% on the day. And it took ages for the share price to continue going down, but it eventually went down. You can sort of see it going down in stages. Share price sort of went sideways or just drifted down for a while, and then it just plunged in August, so upon release of results, and then went sideways for ages, and then it plunged on the release of the results again. So maybe you don't want to be owning this company when they release results or before they release results. Just get out because share price has been going sideways otherwise. Now, this is a little bit different. Share price continued to fall after release results. Anyway, so company I've held in the past. So I need to see a little bit of a shift, a little bit of a sign that the company's momentum is being regathered. Laserbond. Number 3, Netwealth. I am a customer of Netwealth. I have my super through Netwealth. So that means, and their super options, not my favorite platform, but the reason I decided to go with Netwealth is because they allowed me to buy any shares I want in Australia, plus many shares in the world. So any shares I want in Australia, not every share in the world, but multiple indices throughout the world. I think like maybe 15 to 20, and I have taken advantage of that. That is exactly what I want to do. They have $18 fees. I'm not a fan of that. They should lower it. But that's one of the reasons why I've decided I'm going to put all my high quality companies in the super. So I don't trade all that often. Anyway, so the company did release a quarterly business update. Share price up 15.97%. I think this is up because of the market itself. But a lot of this rise in Netwealth is back on the back of this quarterly business update. It was a pretty good one. Now, the most important thing here is look at funds under management, also look at inflows, and you want to see pretty good inflows. This company is priced for pretty good inflows, and they delivered Now, the other thing you notice is funds under administration could go up or down depending on inflows plus market performance. And they've made it quite clear what's happened in the quarter. So funds under administration, net flows of $3.5 billion for the quarter, an increase of 29% to the prior corresponding period. So the inflow is starting to, I wouldn't say maybe accelerate, and a new third quarter record. So straight away, that reads really good. Record net flows of $12 billion for the year to date, 61% increase to previous corresponding period, and $15.8 billion for the last 12 months, 49% increase to previous corresponding period. So this company is really doing well. Total funds under management, $104.1 billion, increase of $2.5 billion, including, and this is very important, $3.5 billion of flows. We've already knew that, but $1 billion of negative market movement. Now, if they had positive market movement, that would be extraordinary because the market has dropped in the past month. So even though the market has dropped, this company is still kicking goals, to use a sport analogy or whatever. Is that analogy or euphemism? I don't know. Anyway, let's have a look at the chart. So Netwealth share price should have pulled back a fair bit in this sell-off we've seen in last month. And we've seen the share price just rally significantly today. Ooh, pretty good buying. On the 7th of April, share price got down to $20, and share price since then has increased 30%. Now, we have seen a bit of selling, so this is interesting. So that one-day candlestick on the 7th was bullish. This is a little bit bearish because the share price has dropped during the day. You probably see that in the 1-minute chart. Oh, I can see why. So I was going to say that was not looking like it's been dropping. So it did initially open really high and then just plunged and found a bit of support at about 24.75 and has been going up ever since then. So even though the 1-day candlestick looks negative, bearish, when you look at the 1-minute chart, no. Because we haven't seen the share price drop through the day. It's actually dropped mostly in the first 30 minutes of trading and has been rising ever since. Anyway, so really volatile chart, daily chart, which is what you would expect for a company that is expensive. But maybe there's a reason why it's expensive. Okay, on to Aussie Broadband. And I don't think the share price is up all that much. Only 4.92%. I thought this was really good. They also released a trading update, hence why it is the stock of the day. I also own Aussie Broadband, by the way. So trading update I thought was really good. I thought, ooh, the share price should rally a lot based off on the back of the really good Wall Street session, and the trading update sounded really good. I thought the share price would be up 10%. Easy. But it's not. It's only up 5%. So as we wait for CommSec to open this particular announcement up, because for some reason CommSec is really, really slow all the time, their trading update was released on the second page. And yeah, I mean, it's just mentioned straight away. Pleased to report its best organic quarterly net growth in connections in the last 3 years. So really good, 29% higher than the prior corresponding period and 12% higher when Bunny connections are excluded. So pretty good. And yeah, Bunny connections is a reason why the share price sold down about a year ago. Real overreaction from the market, an absolutely ridiculous reaction from the market. I even heard someone, I won't say the name, on Ausbiz the call say this was a downgrade. It was not a downgrade. That's when they announced Buddy and they had to spend $10 million to grow Buddy, to spend on Buddy. And the downgrade was $10 million. It was not a downgrade. And it was the most extraordinary overreaction from the market. Anyway, so a pretty good update from Aussie Broadband. Still things are moving in the right direction. No reason to be disappointed. And also I'd say Aussie Broadband is defensive. So let's have a look at Aussie Broadband. And you'll be able to see this bit of a sell-off about a year ago maybe. Oh, no, July. 15th of July. I still remember because I bought the next day. I bought because the share price fell below $3, and I went, this is a bargain. So, yeah, the share price on that day fell 14%. It was mentioned as a downgrade. It was not a downgrade. Completely disagree with all the experts. Definitely not a downgrade if you read what was going on. And that's why the share price bounced. Not straight away. It took a while, and the share price is now significantly higher than it was before that announcement. Share price has been wanting to move in an uptrend. It's looking good. It's trying. And share price did react, or the market did react positively to this announcement, but just like Netwealth, we have seen a little bit of selling coming in. And yeah, so a little bit, the initial opening for many companies, probably as expected, was a little bit too jubilant. And that's why we have seen share price pull back for a lot of companies. In fact, let's have a look at the SGO. We'll do that in a second. Okay, so that's it for the top 5 stocks. Now I'm just going to have a quick look at the SGO and what's happened today in trading, because did we see, yeah, we have seen a bit of a sell-off. We did see a bit of a sell-off on open, or just after open, and then it's been going sideways. So that's interesting. Okay, one comment. In a way, I've already spoken about Kinatico. So one comment, I did an unplanned live video this morning. What shall I do? Only a pause. Just James Dean is right. Only a pause. But who knows what's going to happen in the next 90 days? Again, I think someone mentioned above Just James Dean. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some negotiations possibly. Yeah, so Monogram says, and I won't talk about pulling over. I've talked about pulling over a fair bit. And I get so many of these, spams. It's just ridiculous. I just wish YouTube would do their job. Yeah, I might not talk about anything before this morning because, because it doesn't include what happened today. Anyway, so I think I might leave it there for today. I've already sort of discussed a comment, Kinatico. So if you have any questions, any thoughts, leave those in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I'm not a financial advisor. If you need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for this video. Have a good day. Bye.